AM Huntsville, your hometown radio station. Welcome to 101.7 KSAM and the Hornet Nation Broadcast Network. It's time for the Hornet Nation Coaches Show with Huntsville coach Rodney Southern. Live from True Texas Barbecue inside HEB. Tonight, Coach Southern talks about last week's game and what to expect from this week's opponent. Now, let's go live to the coach and your host, Rob Hipp.
All right, friends, a pleasant good evening. How's everybody doing tonight? There's always some folks in here that are nice and loud. I like hearing that, man. So it's good to be back. I want to welcome everybody tonight here to the Hornet Nation Coaches Show with head coach Rodney Southern as we're continuing the season right along. Already one game into district play, and now the second one coming up. Brian, been a good start so far, but a couple of last two games have been pretty tough for the Hornets.
Yeah, it really has. Those kind of.
I thought AJ did some things that. We've been talking to him about doing when the situation breaks down, because you're going to have breakdowns on plays. Use your legs. And I thought he did that. I think he got 4 or 5 first downs off, where the play breaks down and he has to run. So those things were good. I thought we made some plays in the special teams. We got one call back, which was a big play, or ended up being a huge play in the game. But you can always look and find good things because kids are hustling and trying to do what you ask them to do. But you always have to go back to, we didn't execute enough, especially in overtime. But you also look at that play in overtime and there's some things that you question, but, those things, again, are out of our control and it's frustrating. And I told the kids I don't normally ever talk about officiating or anything like that because we got to go win and lose the game. But, that was not very good. And we have put that in the past, and, we know we got to talk about it tonight. But, these kids are resilient, and they'll bounce back, and they'll play well Friday night.
Well, Coach, after 2 real tough ball games, obviously C.E. King was a tough 6A opponent, and then Brian Rudder losing it in overtime. And you just kind of alluded to the fact of what you said, but after that game was over and it kind of finally sunk in that, that what looked like to be a touchdown, that ball breaking the plane, and then being ruled short and game was over, what at that point in time did you tell your team?
Well, when you lose a game like that, there's, you can be mad at officials, you can be mad at a kid, you can be mad at coaches, you can be mad at a lot of different people. But bottom line, we're 0-1 in district, and, we got 5 more district games, and we've got to figure out how to take care of the next one. Because you can't look too far ahead because we've got another district game and then an open week, and then we've got a kind of an unusual schedule because it'll be a Thursday, Friday, Thursday. So, there's still a lot of football left, but, you want your kids to feel the hurt because obviously you feel the hurt when you make mistakes. And, we didn't make a lot of mistakes, but we made mistakes in some critical situations that hurt us. And then, when a penalty or things like that happen, whether we did it or not, those things change momentum. We're up 28-14, and, you got to close that when you have that opportunity. But, you kind of, at that point, you move on and you got to go to the next thing.
Well, Coach, as we wrap up this final segment, looking back, just your final thoughts as we move ahead.
Well, biggest thing is, it's one district game, and it's a game that, we felt like we should have taken care of our business and didn't. But we got to move on to the next one, and obviously A&M Consolidated has been historically over the last 4 years, the district's come down to us and them. And that's the toughest thing is you got to bounce back and play a really good football team.
Coach, always appreciate your time in this first segment. We'll step aside. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll look ahead to Friday's matchup. Stay with us, friends, live from True Texas Barbecue inside HEB. This is the Hornet Nation Coaches Show.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, And we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
All right, friends, welcome back. How's everybody doing tonight here at True Texas Barbecue?
Right. Big crowd. Love it.
Oh, man, I got here early. Coach, I got here about 4:30, and I finally got a turkey sandwich, and it was pretty good, Coach. So, Bridget, if you're watching, sweetheart, I promise I'm still cooking tonight when I get home. So we're here talking to head coach Rodney Southern as we look ahead. Hornets heading to College Station to battle A&M Consolidated. Last season, the Hornets taking care of business at home versus Consolidated 27-7. This A&M Consolidated team, though, 4-1 this year. Their lone loss was at home versus Willis, 24-16 last week to open district play. 49-3 victory on the road at Saturday, actually, at Lamar Consolidated. Coach, I always kind of ask the same questions every week, but there's sometimes a different answer. Really, how's preparation been, especially after the last two games? Has things kind of changed a little bit? What's the preparation heading into this week?
Well, we hadn't changed a whole lot. Our schedule was a little different this week because our junior high had a game on a Monday night instead of a Tuesday night, and we moved a couple things around practice-wise in terms of meetings and film time and stuff like that. But the rest of our prep is, it's going to be very similar to the way it always is because we're at the point where that you need that routine and you need that schedule to look very similar. Now, the rest of the week in terms of, games and things like that, all that's been pretty consistent. We got through grades. Grades were due this past Friday, and we ended up extremely fortunate and extremely well. And obviously, we didn't lose any varsity guys. We only lost one JV guy. So, that's always a burden because you get to the end, you got to make sure everybody's taking care of their business, and academically, they got to be ready to go. So, all of that stuff is kind of out of the way now, and you can kind of take a breath. But we're also playing a really, really good football team that is similar to us, I think, in a couple things, and then they're a little bit different than us. So it's going to present a challenge.
So, talking about this game coming up this week, Coach, with A&M Consolidated, what have you told your team this week and some of the things they need to do to prepare for the game?
Well, biggest thing is we got an opportunity. We didn't bring them in Saturday. So we got all of our work done Saturday morning so we could all go watch A&M and to be able to see a team live and just be able to see things that may happen that you may not see on the sideline. They had a kid, one of their running backs get hurt, and you don't see that on film sometimes. So just the ability to be able to do that and to be able to see them live and see what they're doing and see what they physically look like is always important. And then, of course, Monday morning we came in and started our prep just like we always do, and there are some things that we've got to do better. We got to clean up some penalties, whether they happened or not. We still got to clean up penalties when those things happen. The other thing is we've got to do a better job containing the quarterback, and this quarterback won't run probably as much as I hope it's not as much anyway as the previous couple quarterbacks we've dealt with, but we've got to clean that up. We've got to do a little bit better job up front running the football because we were, I would say, consistent at times, and then at times we weren't. So, and not give up the big play defensively, which, we gave up a critical big play right after we had kind of stole the momentum last week. So you got to clean those kind of things up. But this is going to be a game that, it's potentially going to be raining. We are closer now than we've been to being full strength. Jada McClain will be full go, and we're going to be back to hopefully where we need to be up front, both offensively and defensively. So, the prep's the normal way, but there's a couple things we're going to do a little bit different, and hopefully those things work out.
You know, you mentioned Jalen McClain. I don't ever really like to single out kiddos too much, but he came in, saw him in one play, fumbled a football. Did that fumble kind of have a decision on that, or just wanted to make sure that he was, wanted to make sure that he's really at 100% to get ready for the next week?
Well, he had not taken a live rep, obviously, until that point because, he had just gotten cleared actually on the Thursday before. And you never know how, when you're a running back, a lot of that's timing, a lot of that's how do you feel physically. I don't know that he was 100%. And then when he fumbled the football, he obviously felt bad about that. So, but Juwan has played well, for these previous 4 games. So we went back to, what we thought was best at that point. And Jalen's had a good week of practice, and he'll be ready to go Friday.
Talking more about A&M Consolidated, the Tigers, just some positions that we should keep an eye out for.
Well, they've kind of reloaded. The last couple of years they've been really, really solid at receiver. Of course, 3 of those guys right now are playing, 2 in the SEC and 1 in the Big 12. So, they've kind of changed from probably a pass first, play action run off of it to they're a little bit more run. The right side of their offensive line, they're both 6'3", 6'4", probably 300 pounds. The quarterback is a game manager, but is not afraid to take the shot down the field. The running back getting hurt, I think, will change a little bit. Now, to what extreme? Because their backup running back is their starting safety. So we don't know, whether the running back's going to play or not, or whether or not the safety comes over, and now what does that do to them in the secondary? So there are some things like that we've got to be ready for, but defensively, they've got 2 inside linebackers, and one of them was moved from offense to defense. Number 44 is a big, strong kid. They're solid up front again, like they are every year. And this team's, I hope, is a lot like us. The news TV asked me yesterday, so what do you think? And I said, well, I hope it's 2 really good teams, and for the fans, it's a really good high school football game. It'll be a clean game that it'll be whoever executes better in the fourth quarter will win the game. So I hope they think the same thing about us because, we pride ourselves on that kind of stuff. So, but again, it's, they're a well-coached team. They're very disciplined. They always have been. They've always seemed to manufacture players. So, we're going to have our hands full, and the weather could obviously be a factor in it as well.
Coach, what's the overall health of the team, and how have practices kind of been going this week?
Well, I thought practice was good. We had a period today that wasn't very good, so we went back at the end and redid it and got a little better at it the second time. But, overall, we're going to be as healthy as we have probably been since the start of the season. Obviously, Jalen will be back. Everybody else is going to be full go at some point. Matthew Long has practiced a little bit as far as just moving around and running. He'll be ready to go next week. So if we can stay healthy this week, we'll be at full strength next week. And, everybody deals with a little bit of injuries. We've just dealt with them early in the season, which is, hasn't happened to us the last couple of years.
Coach, I wanted to ask you something. This is a little more fun question now as we transition out of this segment. Groundhog Day, of course, with the shadow, that usually kind of indicates winter's coming over. I forget how it works. But, Coach, as I look at you, the beard's starting to come back in. So I think we're going to start a new tradition here now that when the beard starts coming in, that signals the start of a really cool winter. Is that okay with you, Coach?
Yeah, it's probably okay with me. It's not okay with my wife because she said it makes me look 10 years older. And I said, coaching may make me look 10 years older more than some gray whiskers. But, when you've been shaving your head and your face for 30 years, sometimes you just want to let it grow out.
Awesome. Well, that signals cooler weather is on the way, so thank you for that, Coach. I appreciate it. Well, as we wrap up here this second segment, let's give it up for head coach Rodney Southern. Appreciate all he and the staff does for our kids. We're live from True Texas Barbecue. We'll step aside. We'll take a brief break, and when we come back, we'll start moving into our player interviews. Stay with us. This is the Hornet Nation Coaches Show, live from True Texas Barbecue.
Deb's constipation with belly pain, discomfort, and bloating kept giving her grief. She talked to her doctor to get some relief. Turns out Deb had irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, which was a start. Saying yes to Linzess helped her do her part.
Linzess, or linaclotide, is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. Linzess works differently than laxatives. It lets you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 6, and it should not be given to children 6 to less than 18. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. There could be more to your story with IBS-C. Talk to a doctor today. Say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS. Sponsored by AbbVie and Ironwood Pharmaceuticals.
Fire people driving from all over Texas to Wiesner Hyundai to get a real deal. And during Wiesner's September to Remember sales event, save even more. Get a 2021 Hyundai Elantra SEL, Sonata SE, or Tucson Value, your choice, 0% for 60 months. Get this 2021 Santa Fe SE, 0.9 for 60 months. Get a real deal today. Buy for less at Wiesner Hyundai. Exit 87B, Wilson Road in Conroe, or WiesnerHyundai.com.
Check out America's best warranty, 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty and the Hyundai Assurance Program today.
All right, friends, we're back at it live from True Texas Barbecue. How's everybody doing tonight? Man, I'm still trying to figure out who does that whistle. It's a good loud whistle, so I always like hearing that back there. That may be Andre back there. So Andre's in the house, man. Well, hey, I wanted to remind you before we break into this next segment and interview our player here tonight, I want to remind you that there is our footballs that we give away at the end of the season. Every time you come to the show, that's one more opportunity for you to register to win. So please make sure to fill out a card, drop it in the box, and the more entries, you come every week, you get more entries. We're going to give away 4 of these autographed footballs at the end of the season. And so that's just going to be a little bit of keepsake. But enough of that. Let's dig in as we talk to, on the defensive side, the sophomore defensive back, Mr. Isaiah Collins in the house. In the barbecue house. Isaiah, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Good.
Well, I'm excited to talk to you, man. You're a freshman last year and now playing on varsity. What's it been like, man? How are things been for you?
Been good,
What have you enjoyed so far this season, Isaiah?
The competition.
It's been good?
There's a whole lot of upperclassmen. Get to play against them.
Awesome. Well, man, last season, like I said, you were on the freshman team. Freshmen had a good season last year. What was it like playing with those guys?
It was fun. It was a whole lot of us. It was doing our thing.
And now, bumping up and a sophomore getting to play on varsity. What's that like for you being a young guy and getting to be on varsity, man?
At first it was scary, but kind of got used to it.
And you're already a pretty tall guy. How tall are you, man?
6'3".
Yeah, stand up real quick. Can we get you to stand up? See, I'm going to embarrass him tonight here. That's a pretty tall young man right there, man. Thank you. See, Isaiah, I said I'm going to be easy on you, man. I'll have you stand up a little bit. Well, you go through the season, and of course now in varsity, as I talked about, what are some things that you've learned through the off season and kind of during the camp and practices now heading into this season?
Well, I learned some new techniques like press techniques and, keep my footwork good,
Tell us a little bit more about that press technique. How does it work? Kind of walk us through that.
Like, you got to keep your feet moving. If your feet dead, then it's routes.
So to keep your feet moving, so when that wide out or whatever makes a move, then you can adjust just as quickly as he's making it. Yeah, that's that's good. And to know that as a sophomore, because you're right, man. You take that jump from playing freshman football into varsity football, I mean, it's like night and day. Yeah. The competition, the athletic talent is so much different. So that's good, and that's some of the things that everybody kind of needs to know. After last week's game, that was a tough loss. In Huntsville, the Hornets, we don't lose much, and that was a tough one. But, after that ball game was over, what was going on in your mind?
I was kind of mad, It was a good game. They came and played.
Is there anything you think in that ball game, after looking back and kind of getting the weekend to kind of reflect, anything you think you may have learned from it and could do better coming into this Friday's ball game?
Yes, sir. I gave up a touchdown. I lost my man. And, I got to fix that, definitely.
stuff out there when you're playing DB and you got these wideouts going all in and out and keeping up with your guy. Were you all running man defense at
Yes,
that
sir.
point? Yeah, okay. Well, that's good. I mean, you're a young, very talented DB, and the more of those lessons you learn early, the much better you're going to be. So that's terrific.
Isaiah, what have you learned from your coaching staff so far, man, just being on varsity? What's one of the biggest things that you've learned from your coaches so far?
Just gotta keep my head in the game, don't get down, have a short-term memory. You get beat on one play, come back, act like it never happened. And, yeah.
Who's your favorite coach, Isaiah?
There's no pressure whatsoever.
I'm just kidding. You don't have to answer. I always like that. I like to joke around with you guys on that, man.
On a high school, I say probably Coach Brazil, Coach Sims.
Okay. All right. See, he answered on. That's good, man.
There you go.
Brian talked a little bit earlier. Where do you feel, just you as an individual player, where can you grow, man? Where are some things you need to work on? Where do you feel that you can grow and kind of beef up and work on, man?
I got to work on my footwork, my eye discipline. I be looking in the backfield when it's man, and it costs me sometimes, like last week. And, yeah,
So there's someone special here today. Actually, a few people that are special to you today. Your mama's here tonight. Is that right,
Yes,
man?
sir.
And who else do you got here tonight?
My sister back there.
All right. Let's give it up for mama and sister here. Mama, hey, your mama doesn't know it. She's on the camera right now. So she's doing a camera on you. We just put her on the camera, too. So appreciate you being here tonight. Who's some of your role models, man? Who do you look up to, kind of guided you to where you're at today?
My dad, he taught me pretty much everything I know. Coach Sims, he helped me with a lot of stuff over the off season when he came here. Yeah.
So you've grown up in Huntsville. What is this community? What's been maybe one of the most special things about Huntsville to you, Isaiah?
It's a small town, so you pretty much know everybody, and everybody show love.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Everybody knows everybody.
Go ahead. That's all right.
They're going to let you know when you mess up.
That's right, man.
They're going to let you know when you do a good job, too.
I went into a church one time, and it was this huge church, and you didn't know anybody. I said, I kind of don't like this. I kind of like people sometimes hold me accountable, man. So, Isaiah, what is it? You talked about this community and just how you've enjoyed it. Wearing that H, that Huntsville Hornet logo, what does that mean to you, man?
A whole lot of stuff. It's a whole lot of stuff.
Well, you were born and raised in Huntsville, correct?
Yes, sir.
So you've been a Hornet your whole life.
Yes, sir.
Your sister, you mentioned earlier, she's a Hornet and runs track. For me, I've been a Hornet a very, very long time, and it's my identity, and it means everything to me in this community. So I know how proud you are. I saw your mom a little bit ago. See, it's a beautiful smile. I know she's proud of you, and that's what it means. I mean, this is your hometown. It's who you represent. All your teammates over there who you've grown up with and played with and battled with and will continue to battle with. That's just about as good as it gets. What are some of your hobbies that you love to do outside of football?
I play the game. I go outside, just do all type of stuff.
You like other sports besides football? You ever shoot hoops, anything like that?
I used to play basketball, but not no more.
Just kind of stuck with football, man. That's good.
Track.
Who on the team, man, would you say, who do you kind of joke around with on the team? Who do you think's the clown on the team? I saw Chris over there a while ago acting goofy. Who do you think's the clown on the team, man?
Everybody funny. It's a whole bunch of funny people.
Well, Chris don't know. Chris coming up next.
Chris.
Well, Isaiah, future plans, man. I know you're only a sophomore. You got a lot of time to think about things, but what are you dreaming, man? Where do you want to be?
I want to go to the NFL, but if that don't work out, honestly, I don't even know.
What college? If you're thinking of college, where would you like to play ball in college?
I always liked Oregon growing up, but I guess Oregon, yeah.
Okay, awesome.
What, you got a camera in front of you, and Rob always says we got about 200 or 300,000 viewers at any given moment. Who would you like to give a shout out to?
Shout out to all of them right there. Shout out to my mom, my dad, my sisters, my coaches. Yeah.
All right, man. Finally, I'm going to ask you one more question. This is a tough one, man. Camera, of course, they're on you, like Brian said. 20 years from now, you're Googling Isaiah Collins, NFL great. And what do you want to tell your future self, man?
Keep doing what you're doing. And
All right, I like that, man. Isaiah, good to have you here. Let's give it up for Isaiah.
Right. Good job, Isaiah.
Great job tonight, man. We had a lot of fun. We'll step aside. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk more with our players. Stay with us. This is the Hornet Nation Coaches Show, live from True Texas Barbecue.
Legend has it the most mysterious spot in Texas is way out west in Marfa. For straight up weird, Austin has a pretty solid claim.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're talking the luckiest spot in Texas, that can only be Noskala Gaming in Livingston. Noskala Gaming is Texas' home for Texas-sized payouts. There are tons of great giveaways, and the atmosphere is easily the friendliest in the Lone Star State. For a whole new spin on fun, our money's on Noskala Gaming in Livingston, the luckiest spot in Texas.
Shopping for something sporty and great on gas? Make Bill Fick Ford your first and last stop. Turn heads and fill up less often with a sporty, fuel-efficient Ford crossover. Bill Fick Ford is also your headquarters for the built-tough Ford F-Series trucks, including the all-new 2021 Ford F-150s. Bill Fick Ford. No bull, just good deals. And customer satisfaction comes before any sale. Bill Fick Ford on I-45 South in Huntsville or online at BillFickFordHuntsville.com.
The SHSU College of Arts and Media has a full schedule of performances, concerts, plays, lined up this year. They're excited to be back on stage and welcoming you to campus. Tickets are available on the box office website for $12 in advance, $15 on the day of the event. Visit shsutickets.com. They also invite you to follow the College of Arts and Media on Facebook and Instagram to stay in the loop. Or visit shsu.edu/CAM. SHSU CAM. Creative, active, meaningful.
All right, friends, back at it from True Texas Barbecue. How's everybody doing tonight? Ooh, man, I'm feeling good after that turkey sandwich. Normally you get tired after turkey, but I'm feeling pretty good, Brian. Want to welcome everybody in here live from True Texas Barbecue for the Hornet Nation Coaches Show. This point of the show, I always like to recognize some of our sponsors who are here tonight helping to make our coverage during the season possible. Of course, True Texas Barbecue, they're our host for the show. And Miss Stephanie Pitts from Advantage Specialties. Thank you, Stephanie, for being here as always. Appreciate you. In fact, we're rocking the shirts from Advantage, man.
Yeah, we are.
And we're rocking the Rockin' H.
Yes, we
And then
are.
our good friend, Mr. Sam Moak, he is our first down sponsor. Sam, good to have you, man. Or the Red Zone sponsor. So good to have you, Sam, and appreciate you. Well, let's dig into it. On the offensive side, making his second appearance in as many years. How about it for junior offensive lineman, Mr. Chris Smith? C. Smith in the house.
C. Smith.
C. Smith. Chris, you got a nickname, dude?
Nah. They usually just call me Chris or Chris Smith.
Christmas?
Chris Smith.
Oh, I thought he said Christmas. I thought you said Christmas. I was like, hey, baby, Christmas is coming early.
It's coming, man. Well, it's on the way, right?
We may have a new nickname for you, man. It's Christmas time.
Okay.
Chris, we had fun last year, getting to know you. You were just a sophomore, but now, of course, a junior. What's that transition been like for you, man? How are things now going this year?
I feel like it got a lot easier, transitioning from the off season to playing now, just learning a bit more, like seeing my mistakes I made last year and improving on them.
Chris, what are some of the things that you learned in the off season as you were going from a sophomore to a junior and taking that next step as an upperclassman?
Probably how easy it was for a defense to read if I was pulling or not, and fixing my stance so that way I wasn't a dead giveaway in the offensive line. So
you're a guard. Some of these people out there may not understand what a guard does a lot of times, because basically you're in the trenches, you're fighting every play down, against the defensive lineman, and you just said pull. What is some of the things when you're pulling, try to help maybe educate our audience a little bit about your position and some of those pulls or some of those, straight up block techniques?
Like skip pulling, I learned that over the off season.
What is that?
Just basically pulling my left leg behind my right and just shuffling and looking for a linebacker.
So you're pulling out and looking for a linebacker. Mm-hmm. So you're cutting up field.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Chris, some areas for you. I always like to ask you guys, where do you feel that you personally can improve, man? There's always room for improvement.
I feel like my feet are I feel like inside a run, I could definitely improve on a lot more. Especially like me being like not the biggest offensive lineman, that's definitely where I could improve most.
Last week, a tough contest. We don't like to dwell on the past too much, but what were your thoughts last week, man, as that game was progressing?
We all knew it was going to be a fight going down to like the last quarter. It sucked that we didn't win the fight, but
I'm glad that we put up as great of a game as we did.
What's been the toughest part of this season so far? I know, of course, there's been the 2 losses, but what's been tough for you so far this season? Maybe some of not just for you, but as a team, what do you feel are some of the tough areas right now?
Probably a lot of injuries. A lot of guys are like getting hurt or COVID stuff happening.
Chris, what does it mean to you to be a Huntsville Hornet?
I don't know. Probably always fighting, even when people say you're not going to be the best, that, you're not going to go to playoffs again or you're not going to win state, still fighting, trying to get that happen.
Some role models, who have you looked up to over the years, man?
I'd say for sure my mom, taking care of me and my sister for a long time. Recently, Coach Brock, even when we mess up, he's still always there to support us.
That's good, man. Hey, and what have you enjoyed so much? I always say this. I like to highlight the positive things. What have you enjoyed so much about this year so far?
So far, I've probably enjoyed, I don't know, I was out with quarantine for a little bit. Probably the Kingwood game. I did pretty good in that game, and it was like my first day back.
Yeah, for sure, man. School, subjects. What do you like outside of football, man? What's your favorite subject?
Favorite subject? U.S. history, probably, because it's like I could just look into a book and find the answer. It's really easy.
I like that, man.
Too.
Yeah, see, that kind of went over real quick. He goes, because I can just look in the book and find the answer. I like that. Math is hard, man. I failed math almost three times.
Oh, I suck at math right
yeah. So don't feel that math is tough, man. But I always liked history too. Hobbies. What do you like to do outside of football, Chris?
I'm usually always hanging out with my friends or sleeping. If I'm not doing football. Because we're always up at the field house, even on Saturdays, like after workouts, we'll be there.
When the weather changes, starts getting a little cooler, when Coach Southern's beard starts coming in and we know that cool weather's on the way, what do you like about that, man?
I don't know. I get to put on a long sleeve and stuff, so I know I don't like getting hit like in the cold because everything gets more frigid.
This is my favorite time of year. The holidays are coming, football's playing, and Friday night lights are happening. You're out doing your thing. When this is all said and done, what do you think your future plans are?
I'd love to go to college, somewhere, probably Sam, stay close to home with my family, pursue some, maybe in criminal justice, I don't really know yet.
Awesome, man. I got to tell you, you got a good beard going. What inspired that, man?
Honestly, nothing. People always ask me that, but it just grows.
See, you're lucky. When I was in high school, we weren't allowed to have the beards.
No, we didn't either.
We weren't allowed to have beards, so things have changed. And if I would have been, I couldn't grow a beard in high school, first of all, so good job on that, man. I had like one little thing coming out my cheek, so I like it, man. Keep it going. How you want to let it keep growing, or how do you trim it up? What do you do with it?
I usually just line it up. If it gets like way too long, like in the future, I'll definitely like cut it down to like a good level.
I got to ask you, has anybody ever got up under your helmet and actually pulled on a little bit?
Yes, a lot. It happens in practice too. I get so frustrated when it happens.
Well, hey, man, I know a while ago you said you wanted to go to college. Any ideas where you want to go? Any schools that you really are saying, man, that would be cool to play there?
I prefer to stay somewhere like close to Huntsville, like in state, because I'm not sure I'd be able to like make it out of state without my family. Sam looks like a really good option though.
Awesome, man.
It's pretty close, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Sam Recruiters, there you go. We'll have one right here, man. So, as you continue to just grow and develop, where do you want to be, man? I know you talked about college and all that, but 20 years from now, let's say that you go forward 20 years, where would you want to be, man? What would you want to have accomplished in the next 20 years?
I don't know. I'd like to be like somewhere successful, whether that be playing football or like in another career. I'd really like to be successful and like maybe out of Huntsville.
What do you do outside of football, man? What are some hobbies? Do you like to go hunting, fishing, any of that kind of stuff?
Not really. I'm usually I do powerlifting. I know that. That's really all I do besides like football. And I also hang out with them a lot.
Your brothers in arms over there?
Yeah, I don't know about Troy, but that.
Well, do us a favor.